Hello, everyone. My name is Sarvika Saravanan, and I worked as a supply chain intern here at Siemens Mobility this past year under the supervision of Kim Howe. This is my year in review as a work-based learning intern. In this presentation, I'll be going over a little bit about myself, the projects that I took part in, and a few takeaways from this internship. So I'll start off with a little bit about myself. I'm a senior at South Forsyth High School and will be attending Georgia Tech for industrial engineering this coming fall. Outside of school, I love to participate in FBLA, which is Future Business Leaders of America. In FBLA, I've competed in multiple events such as digital animation, advertising, agribusiness, organizational leadership, and many more. And I've also placed at the state level for each event. I also love to found and direct my nonprofit organization, TechBridge. TechBridge strives to bridge the digital divide, and we raise awareness and funds for this issue. So far, we have raised over 83,000 Indian rupees and provided technological access to 250 plus Indian residents in underserved communities. So at the beginning of my internship, I focused on researching in supply chains, specifically COVID-19's effect on supply chains. And I learned that there was severe disruption all around the world. And this led to businesses focusing on resilience in supply chains. 72% of supply chains were negatively affected and 94% of companies were disrupted. And this led me to one question that I focused on, which was how can a business create a supply chain that isn't overly affected by external factors such as COVID-19? Including sourcing, operational strategy, and returns. And overall, I learned that industrial engineering focuses on optimizing effectiveness and productivity while focusing on the safety of their employees. So before coming into this internship, I had received one certification from my school through our computer science pathway, which was our software development certification through Certiport. A lot of the skills that I gained from the certification, I was able to bring into my internship here at Siemens. And during my time at Siemens, I was able to receive my Lean Six Sigma certification. And this was the white belt stage, and I hope to receive the yellow belt and green belt in future opportunities. With this Six Sigma certification, I was able to take a lot of the skills that I learned from here and bring it directly into the projects that I was working on. So here is a quick project overview. I took part in about 6 projects that I will be highlighting throughout this presentation, including projects from employee suggestions programs to Kanbans and KPIs, which are key performance indicators. So first, I'd like to start with the transition from 3I to Ideas Count. 3I stood for Ideas, Initiative, and Innovation, and it was our employee suggestions program. Our new program is Ideas Count, and I helped facilitate that transition. And I learned from this that there was constant revision going on behind the scenes. So there would be monthly meetings focusing on every single employee suggestion, and we would review every suggestion and focus on if we wanted to accept, deny, and hopefully implement into the Siemens company. I also focused on supply chain KPIs or key performance indicators, and this was a great way to show the health of the supply chain. And in this, I focused on material availability. Are the materials coming for production in time? And then RPNs, which are receiving problem notices, as well as purchase orders. So that's what PO stands for. And I focused on unconfirmed POs and past due POs. I also worked on job element analysis, and job element analysis were basically ways that we would document procedures and processes step by step. So on the left side, you can see the element and the element description, and this showed the steps that everyone took for each process. And then in the middle, you can see the frequency or how often that step would be done in a day, a week, or even a month. And then on the right side, you can see the knowledge, skills, and abilities necessary for someone that wants to hold a position in the specific procedure or process. I also took part in another project named PFEP, which stands for Plan for Every Part. And Plan for Every Part was very special to me because I was able to collaborate with multiple teams. So it wasn't just us from logistics or supply chain, it was also people that worked in manufacturing and people from the production floor. And I was able to work with so many different people. So seeing all the knowledge and skills coming together to create a solution was very remarkable. In the picture, you can see the RACI matrix, and in specifically this matrix that we created, we listed every single step needed for when a new part came into production. I also focused on RPNs, or receiving problem notices, and I worked with our expediter Maria on this. RPNs were basically where we would have to solve a mystery almost. And we would focus on what the issue was with the RPN, what material was it affecting, what project was it affecting, who could we go to contact about this issue, and how could we solve this issue. So every single week, I would send about 5 RPNs that we would focus on, and I would also make sure to document how many RPNs we had every single week. So in the left side picture, you can see that the taller bars that are light blue are older RPNs, and older RPNs were stated as RPNs that were 10 days or older. And the smaller bars, which are the darker green bars, were focused on the newer RPNs, which weren't the focus at the moment. On the right side, you can also see the missing material count, and this was something that I looked into every single day and saw how many materials that were missing that we needed for production. And so through this, I was able to see how missing materials can directly affect production and the lead time of producing a material or a product. And I was also able to analyze the trends and understand why so many materials were missing at certain points of time. So a few takeaways that I have gotten from this internship include optimization, effective communication, and troubleshooting. Specifically with optimization, I focused on learning lean strategies and Six Sigma. And lean strategies were basically ways that I could reduce waste. And I was specifically able to use this in projects. So how could I reduce waste with resources? How could I reduce the time needed? How could I reduce the labor necessary to build a product? And this was all very interesting to see in the production floor, but I was also able to take the skills that I learned through optimization and bring it back into my personal life and my academic life. So how could I cut time when studying for a test or doing a project? And how could I manage my time better or use up less resources? Another takeaway that I had was effective communication. Almost every single month, Miss Alice Colleen, our internship coordinator, would do workshops related to communication, time management, networking, and leadership. And these things would really help me understand and hone my skills. And I think communication was the biggest one for me because I was able to practice this with people that were sitting near me, people that I was working on projects with, and the other interns. Troubleshooting was my last takeaway from this internship, and I think that this was a huge thing that I was able to kind of hone and perfect, mostly with the RPN project, as I stated before. With RPNs, it was like a mystery trying to be solved, and I was able to kind of look at the problem at different angles and try to see, like, if one problem or solution didn't work, then where can I find the other solution? And from one solution that we had, how can I build multiple solutions just in case one didn't work? So I was able to take many things away from this internship. And I wanted to give a huge thank you to everyone who supported me throughout my internship, from my parents to my teachers to my colleagues at work. Your support means everything to me, and I would not have been able to complete this internship without you all. And for future references, I've listed my contact here, my personal phone, and my email. And thank you so much for listening to this presentation.